scared.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Now,
We're coming. Get our check.
Cheryl Morrow, the one, the only, the hair oracle.
Well, it was Red Dot, and then we also had a cosmetology school instructor in the chat, Miss Denise West, Michelle Allen, Miss Foster. Dang, I missed your name. It's always nice to see Miss Foster in the chat. Michelle Allen, you know how much we love you too.
What? About a whole lot of peace. Cheryl, you order that in a bag of chips. Let me do your hair and your fingernails and your toes and your makeup. What's happening, good people? How you guys doing out there? Y'all know who it is, right? By now, I hope at least 2 of y'all, maybe just 3, okay, maybe 3 of y'all know who it is, right? It's me, your homegirl, Ladosha Wright, aka Kilolo, all right? And then y'all know who that is right over here. That's right. It's the one and only, my BMF, my PNC, the one and only Cheryl Morrow. And in case you're wondering, what is this? What are we watching? What did I scroll upon? Because we're still trying to get these 3,000 followers. We need about, first it was like 2, but now we're up to like 10. So we need like 10 more people to subscribe to the channel. All right. And so we're going to be uploading some more content because that's what they said. YouTube wants y'all to put some more up. I'm like, goodness gracious. They want this like a real live TV show. So I'm going to upload some more content because I realized I thought I uploaded the one video that I did, but I did not. But today we're going to be talking about the negative aspects of the negative and toxic aspect of the natural hair movement. And so the video that I thought I hit the, show button is this one here. It's Kilo's unexpected shocking haircut technique. Yeah, so and it is definitely a play on this natural hair thing because the natural hair community is definitely influencing the beauty industry and in a very interesting way, to say the least. And so we're going to talk about some of that tonight. So we're going to put some more content up because you guys are just thirsting for more. And if that's what it's going to take to get those followers, then we are definitely going to do that because we love being here. And in case you're wondering, where is here? Here is the dumbest shit that people say about black hair. And this particular podcast, what we do on this platform is we address the dumbest. And we do mean the dumbest shit that people say about black hair. Because it's just how they said in the hip hop world, and it don't stop. And it won't stop, So as long as they keep talking, we're going to have something to talk about. Now, when they start saying some good shit, we're going to change, right?
Absolutely.
The good shit that people say about black hair. But for now, and we are particularly on this podcast, we are discussing, 25 years of this mis and disinformation that's coming out of this community. So we're just kind of building up because next year we're going to have to go on to some success stuff and move past this. But we got to get this to obsession on because now it's really out in the wash. Ain't that right, Sandra? So big up to Sandra E. She is our virtual host in the chat, helping navigate, getting you guys to hit that subscribe and that thumbs up button. So if this is a topic that's near and dear to your heart, this is a place where you can really come and just let it all hang out because we're here to help. That's the thing. We're not here to pick and bully, even though the topic says the negative and toxic aspects of it. What we want to do is kind of recenter, recalibrate, and discuss it and kind of put you guys on the right track because here, what we don't want people doing is spending a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of spaces and places when it comes to their hair that they just don't like. Because to me and Cheryl, it ain't really not that serious. Ain't that right, Cheryl?
It's serious, but it ain't serious.
It's serious because the dis and misinformation, it has just
out of control.
I mean, if I could screenshot everything that just come across, it would just be like, good Lord, and so we are inviting people to come on. Last week, we had the lovely Savannah, the Shear Master, coming out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And boy, Jesus Christ, that young lady, she more than delivered. We're going to be back here next week with Dr. Chris Smith of the OAB. And we're going to be talking about these unsung educators in the Black beauty industry. That'll bring us a little more positivity. And why are we doing this? Because we kicked off our summer right here on the Afro Hair Science YouTube channel. And our summer podcast series begins with the miseducation of curly hair. And I don't know how many of you are on on Instagram. Right here on Instagram, there is so much traction on education that it is like every time the algorithms are like, we know you. We know you. What's up? What's up? I am Charles Freeman. How you doing over there on Instagram? And what's up, TLC? I see you over there. I hope you wasn't born in 1971, because if you were, I'm going to tease you if you was born in 71. But if you were, that's okay. That means you're a tenderoni. You know what I'm saying? So welcome everybody on Instagram. We appreciate you guys very, very much. And then, of course, on LinkedIn. Hi, LinkedIn. What y'all doing? LinkedIn, come on, put them computers down. Put that report down. Come on, put that report down. I know y'all gotta get the report done. I can't. Come on, LinkedIn. Take us a few minutes out and get in the discourse and chop it up with us. Twitch, how you doing, Twitch? Sometimes Twitch come through for us. So how you doing, Twitch? Chrissy said, you gotta get on Twitch. You gotta get on Twitch. So we are on Twitch. And so of course we're on Facebook. We're my Facebook fan. Well, I'm a Facebook people. I'm a Facebook people. Okay. So again, welcome. And I think we are officially, I think we're like 100 and I stopped counting. I think like 162. Right. I think we're 162 episodes in. It's like, we're in there. Okay. We're in there. So welcome everybody. LB says she got a bologna sandwich for me. I was going to hurry up and make one and show it off, but I didn't have enough time. So maybe I have my bologna sandwich when we come back, LaWanna. So LaWanna, this is the first time I've been on the chat that you said you got some bologna for me. Theo,
I don't mean to be funny, LB, but that bologna sandwich, y'all keep talking about it. You know what it reminds me of?
What?
Iran is building a nuclear bomb. Y'all been talking about it.
Let me tell y'all something. See, this how
talking about it.
Sure don't know. So here how it went down. See, sure didn't know. Cheryl, this is how you know they watching us. I'm gonna tell you right now. Now, if you are truly a fan, a member, a family of America's favorite podcast about Afro hair, even the government is watching us because we said it first. Here it is. Remember this, Cheryl?
Stop. Hammer time.
Come on, y'all. Hit that heart button. Listen, the government.
Pick the hammer. They even got hammer time.
In case some of y'all missed it, let me, because they think we out here. We're not jocking. We're not jocking ourselves. This is how we know. We got over 400,000. Watch out, Jeff Rogan. You better watch out. Hey, Roland, Bulwark, we're coming after you. They done named they Operation Midnight. What?
Stop. Hammer time.
Now, Cheryl does not know that I have these things. And the reason why I like to brag about this kind of stuff, because it just goes to show you how much we are in sync. Because remember now, this fool said we didn't send all these little white, these are the stealth bombers, right? And they're supposed to have dropped like 30, hammers, hammer time on this particular situation. And they said, and he said, it's over with now. We let them know. Do you know what time it is? And then here go Iran. Do you know? Girl is out partying, touching my body and talking to me like I'm a kindergarten. Today she's on mine, tomorrow she's on his. But don't worry about me because I know what time it is. Y'all remember that? Do you know, Kumo? They said, do you know what time it is?
Oh, God.
Check the clock. Put your Gucci's on, synchronize the time, and let's rock. Yeah. Then here go the next verse. USA come to me like a dime a dozen. And that's why I never, ever was in a situation where I could get work. I'm like a bomb. All I do is body work. They bombed. They came back.
Girl.
Now, we know they said y'all sent 30, we dropped 30. So they're teetering.
So black folks made it very clear on Instagram. They want to make sure that everybody elsewhere in the world, we ain't did nothing. One guy,
we do have.
Wait. One guy on Instagram said we was in the house. We trying to pay bills. We trying to pay student loans. We don't know.
They said we're still doing line dances. Where them fans at? But can anybody in the chat, seriously though, what? Now I'm not trying to be funny because I really am in the house. I'm on YouTube trying to get like 10 more followers. Exactly what is this war about? I mean, well, it's not a war. Let me stop that. What is this? I don't want to speak it into existence because Lord knows. What is this situation? Can anybody just briefly, I'm still trying to figure how is it? Did you know Netanyahu? Yahoo! Remember that, y'all? Netanyahu. Y'all remember Yahoo used to say that? Yahoo. Okay, how did Netanyahu? How is he convincing? The United States. See, this how first of all, he got a nickname, BB. Did you know that?
Who?
Netanyahu. His nickname is BB. So that means he trying to be black. That's cultural appropriation because white folks ain't got no nickname. BB. So BB is doing that 6th grade instigation stuff. Remember this? Come on, Cheryl. Sandra. Where are my old school people? Let me put it on my shoulder. What, you dare me to do what? You dare me to do what?
No,
knock it what? Come on, y'all, drop it in the chat.
Knock it off.
I dare you knock that off my... That's the oldest playbook. That's from the hood. His nickname is BB. He trying, and he taking this playbook straight out of the hood. So it's like he's taking Iran and putting it on America's shoulders, on Iraq, on Israel's shoulders, right?
Right.
And he's saying to America, I dare you.
I knock that shit.
I double dog dare you.
Double dog dare you.
If you ain't really that you say you is, they put the Yo Gotti on them. And Trump fell for a hook, line, and sinker.
Well, I think he wants to be a wartime president.
Because they say if he's fighting in the war, lady told me this at TJ Maxx yesterday, that if he's in war while he's in president, he cannot get out of office.
He wants to be a wartime president. I think that's supposed to be the ultimate. Anyway.
Well, they also said that, y'all remember the weapons of mass destruction? And everybody kept on saying, Saddam Hussein does not have...
Bush wanted to be a wartime president. Good.
Something wrong with... When I say this, I don't mean all white people, but I'm talking about them kind. Because I got some, I love my white people. I love all of them. My white people, I love y'all. Where my white people at? Where are my white people at? I want to just stay here. I'm so sick of that race stuff, anywho, I love my peoples. They just happen to be lighter. But anywho, everybody not like that. So that's our take. If you have some thoughts about that, drop it in the chat. It's not very comfortable. I have not lived. I remember the Afghanistan war, man, people came back. Woo-wee. And they still struggling. And then he took away some stuff in this current administration. I wouldn't want my kids joining the military right about now, but you know, them politicians are not going to send their kids over there.
Well, not their kids.
No, they ain't gonna send that kid. What's up, Trish? How you doing? How you doing? Again, we are about 100. I think I said 62 episodes in.
162.
162. All right.
All right.
That's how much I wish I weighed. But if I move them numbers around, be quiet, Trish. Don't you drop it in the chat, or else it's going down. I wish I weighed 162. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna hop into it. What's going on? 3Love H3Love Boogie. I see you, F Paul 316. Miss Petra, I see you looking good. All right, everybody on Instagram, we are firing on all these cylinders. We need you guys again to hit that thumbs up button. Else Sandra is gonna come through and like hit that button. This is a wonderful topic, the negative and toxic aspect of the natural hair movement. We're gonna hit it in 3 different ways and talk about how we can just get through it. And then again, we just got to say we're going to be back next week, and it is truly time to discuss the unsung educators. Since there's this big push for no education, that's a whole nother situation. And then Thursday we have Ron Jemison out of Franklin Beauty School. Cheryl wants to digress just for one quick second from our topic about film and pay attention to Ron Jemison, which is befitting if we're going to be talking about unsung educators, right, Cheryl?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That we come back through with Ron Jemison. Now, it's important that we give you guys some history, because the topic that we're talking about tonight, as we move right into it, to be honest, a lot of it has to do with people not being educated. And for the life of me and my bologna sandwich with mustard, tomatoes, and lettuce, a little hot sauce, preferably Brian's, but I can't get down south, so I used Eckrich. I know I'm going there, but for the love of my bologna sandwich, I still cannot figure out how did African Americans who are descendants of a space and a place where education would get us killed. I mean, there are literally dead people. We are probably sitting in our spaces right now in a space where one of our ancestors was murdered for simply reading a book or trying to utter a sound and make the words together. Cheryl, kick it off. How in the French toasted bologna sandwich? Because that's the biggest part. So if you could speak to, number one, how does the lack of education fuel this huge, big misinformation and disinformation that we see coming out of this community? And then we're going to talk about exactly what is it that they could possibly be missing in this education. So if you could, just talk about that for us a little bit.
Just to get a broader picture, and just in terms of recent, that when you talk to, because of course I watch lots of talk YouTubes, not talk radio on the radio, but talk shows on YouTube. And there is this absolutely kind of genre of young people really talking to Trump supporters. And the very things that they talk about, they do not or have not heard of. Let's say, for instance, they don't know that, let's just say, they voted for someone who was civically liable for sexual or sexual assault. And so they said, oh, really? And just think that when you ask them, would you vote for someone who has done that? They say, absolutely not. And then when you say that you actually did, they did not know. And so most times when we're talking
They
about
lying their breath stank of panther piss. But anyhow, I'm getting upset. Sorry,
so
sorry, guys.
so when we talk about damage, right? It's not the fact that you're personally affected, but what happens is that it puts you in a position to do something against your best interest.
But what would make a person overlook sexual assault?
Sexual.
No, what's
You know,
sexual?
yeah, you don't want to say the whole word. You don't want to say the word like that. Unlock.
Sexual. I'm sorry.
Right.
Sorry. What would make them overlook
Say you can
sexual?
say. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know we got to just digress just a little bit
Yeah.
because when you have something glaring in your face, because remember, you guys keep hearing me say over and over and over, and I'm going to say it again till the cows come home. I still can't believe Black women fell for the natural hair movement because that is sexual assault. I mean, it is. It is. So
like,
it's a connection.
Right. Absolutely.
It's a connection.
Without a doubt. And I know that may seem dramatic, but the psyche world or the psychological world or the psychology world, they talk about the damages of what we call the inner critic. And we all have one. But can you imagine the inner critic that is critical based on facts, but inner critic based on lies?
Yeah.
Or disbeliefs or bad beliefs or cult beliefs, right? And then you're involved in an echo chamber, and then you're consistently surround yourself with an amen corner. And so the inner critic is criticizing you when you're mean to you, and it's all based on untruths and falsehoods. That's when it becomes you're working against your best interest.
Okay. I'm following you. And now you see the parallels that we're kind of drawing between his sexual assault, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the fall for the natural hair movement. It reminds me of, a person who can violate a person but still be a nice person. You know what I'm saying? And so they don't really want to, go there because they're so nice.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot in that natural hair community that is really, really nice, but it has a very it has a predatorial, underneath all of that. It's not like authentic. It's not genuine. They definitely want something like a predator. And so we have this podcast because we don't want you guys falling for that. If you've been brought up in a home where you didn't have any information or any person to help you navigate your home, your hair care experience, there are places where you can go and get that. That's credible. And there are people where you can go and get that information and it's credible. You don't have to do that. So as we move through this topic here about the negative aspects of the natural negative and toxic aspects of the natural hair movement, feel free to drop in the chat some things that you still believe or you don't believe. So when you say you're not following, it's just the disinformation and the what's that word when you're not forthright, you're cunning, you're very crafty.
Well, it's almost
natural hair movement because they came across like a predator, like, hey, little girl, I have a puppy for you.
Yeah, it's almost like
all little girls, just about, or most humans,
right?
They just, it's a puppy, Now you got some children that are afraid and like, I don't care what happen, I don't want no puppy. So that natural hair movement definitely came to consumers, particularly those who probably didn't have a parent, who didn't have any, or maybe they had a negative experience in their homes, with their hair. They preyed on them people like a sexual predator preys on a woman who's got her hoochie clothes on. Because you know what they'll say. Well, did you see what she had on? That's why they tell you all the time that has nothing to do with it. So that's where we're going with this. Those people, they preyed on that particular segment of consumers who either one did not know, had bad experiences, or was just looking. And
Well,
there's
you
nothing wrong with that.
well, you got to understand that for some reason this industry attracts a lot of egotistical um, intellectualism. I don't know. I guess because we're black, and this is, I guess, hair is on our black bodies, and we're inside of our black bodies. For some reason, we have we create this what we call cultural information. Right? We create. You got the phone.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
And so cultural, just because you're part of the culture, that takes precedence. You don't necessarily have to have a fine tuning or a specialized piece of information. You don't really have to. It's not a science to be black, right? You're just black by chicken, watermelon, and some other things that are associated with it. But when it comes to hair, all you have to do is just be black and have it, right? And so there is sort of a that you'll read one little Google or a Wikipedia portion of information, or you'll see something that of an article, and then the Dunning-Kruger effect happens. Then you can talk about it in a way, as you would say, talk a little foxy, right? Talk a little sexy about it, and then all of a sudden you're in, this kind of geez, wow. I rarely get fire trucks.
I've never heard that. We've been in the air for like 2 years.
So
I've
it's
never
like,
heard that.
and so I think that is hair care is just a petri dish, right? For experts, like instant experts. And I think that is what we're dealing with now. So now we have to kind of go through the weeds. But it's become toxic because, of course, Black women are susceptible to the white coat and the microscope. It can be dressed up in so
Yeah.
many different ways.
Yeah, and it gives the recipient of the information, because they have this insatiable appetite, to get that knowledge, and I know y'all like quit saying that, but I'm gonna say it 1,000 times, and I really, and sure know what I'm about to say, and I'm gonna say it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Go to school. You need to go to school because you need to be tested. You need to be amongst your peers. You
Absolutely.
need to hear all the empirical, all the, the global or communal perspective of what it is that you're trying to get the information, if it just means that much to you.
Right.
Now, if you're just on the foxy note, like you just want to play around, like a little hobby, maybe it's not that serious. That's fine, but don't go out into the public and start, regurgitating the
It's a
myths
bit,
and
but it's a business now because, of course, you're tying it. And I will always say the natural hair care, or the Y2K. I always preface Y2K is the first industry that is tied to product. The information, the education is tied to product. The education is not tied to consumers. I mean, it's not tied to clients. And so when you're not doing it from behind the chair, you're kind of doing it not because you have ethics and because, of course, we're professionals, but when the age of influencer, it made them beholden to the product they were selling. And so that is, of course, disingenuous because it sets you up in such a way that you're just talking about the relationship with the product to hair, but not science to hair, not any concrete and real. And then it just,
it just spirals. So it spirals into something that we see right here. Let me just find the picture. Is this the right one? Oh yeah, here it is right here. So sorry, here it is. It's this one. Sorry. So we got this new Chicago bill for braiders to bring together stylists because they did, I believe they did say, you know what, these people do not have to have, any education. And so their argument, because I mean, it's going ham on on Instagram. So Instagram, if you are representing in the house, what's up? I see you. What's up, Indigo Kid? I see you, Coos. If you can, do you agree or disagree with that they don't need the education? Because their argument is just over and over. They don't teach it in cosmetology school. Number one, and cosmetologists, they mess up and all this, that, and the third. But I just want to point this out. All right. When it comes to education, all right, and a license to a degree. So number one, when you put those two together, you increase the likelihood. It's not perfect. We're not going to sit up here and say that, because I don't think in any situation are you going to get perfection. But I wrote this down, is that when you have both of them together, you increase the likelihood of being accountable, because you can be accountable through your insurance company, because you do have to have insurance. Well, you should, because you can mess up. That's one. Two, somebody can find your monkey butt in case you mess up. They can literally go to the register on that state and say, aha, there she is. And you could make a legitimate complaint. All right. So within that, guys, you have to be what? Competent, knowledgeable, and proficient. Now, again, it's not perfect. So that's why I said increase the likelihood. When you're out there and you have, with my auntie, this is what I learned. I was online or whatever. All that comes down. It's almost impossible to hold those people accountable. Number one, not just financially, but even with their knowledge, because where are they getting it from? And again, even in cosmetology, it's not the perfect world, but we could say there is a book that we can do what? Something about. With Cheryl and I, we are trying desperately to make that happen. And there are other people. So, but there's a space where we can do that. And we can also do it ourselves, because I'm sure when Mr. Ron Jemison comes on, now, mind you, he was doing that his family before it was even didn't think about cosmetology. So again, I don't want to focus so much on the licensure itself, because we pretty much understand that the government doesn't necessarily have to, but it could, and it has been a help, in the case of like driver's license and things of that nature, So that's the pros of having someone who has been vetted through some type of an institution instead of going rogue. So that's my take on the argument that, with cosmetologists, they this and they that, and barbers and, nail tech, they don't have it, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, well, but we do have an infrastructure in place to help the public at least be able to do, if all but those two things. You can't complain, and if you can sue, because they would have a business. They would be the natural hairstylist. She might just be like, I'm in my house. What you gonna sue me with?
Well, and two,
and I don't have to know nothing about your scalp. They don't have the language to discern and be able to go someplace. A professional cannot do that too. Don't get it twisted. But for the most part, those credible businesses, they have those infrastructures in place.
The problem is industrially speaking. The politician, the lobbyist, and the judicial community, the jurist community, they are not prepared. They're not caught up. They do not know the different facets and all the dynamics of what the beauty industry is dealing with labeling, with the training versus the liability. And then you have neglect, okay? Because you have to prove neglect, not just, and most unfortunately. Most products are also in public domain. They're not prescribed, so they don't have a line of demarcation or a firewall to where a consumer can't buy something and that a license can buy or can't buy. And
Right.
so we're using basically the same thing that is available to consumers. The key here, as we are trying to make sure that we give our industry and for your listening ears in the audience, we are trying to really get some guardrails and to make sure that when we are saying about the harmful toxic conversation, that we are trying to aid in adjusting it and to make it to where it's one, knowledge, one is science, one is advisory, one is just suggestions, one is just advice. How do these other pieces of conversation, where is the accountability in all of that? And when you have an industry that has gone rogue, like natural hair care has gone with the education.
Yeah, they're fanning the flames of ignorance, and it's spreading like a wildfire. Fire. Because I tell you what, can you imagine the Asian community? Oh, is that what we're doing now? Because y'all don't teach about our hair either. So guess what? We don't want license either, because y'all don't discuss us. See, y'all see. Nobody talks about that. Their hair is different. It's different. Even though we know the structure is the same. We argue that, we say yes, hair, yes, the protein, cuticle cortex, all that, but Cheryl just said one type, and then you have what? Variations. So their variations are different. So can you imagine them going that same route, saying we don't want license, we want our Asian natural hair stylists.
But the language obviously needs to.
Yeah,
it needs,
and then they were saying, "Oh, they trying to take our stuff." Oh, no! Because I tell you what, I bet you $10 a bucket of boogers. I won't be surprised if it happened. So let's get into our first video as we move along this conversation about the negative and toxic aspects of the natural hair movement. We already started off with the lack of education and the pros and the cons of not having it. Feel free. Please share with us some of your experience, anything you want cleared up. This is what we're here for, especially if you work as a natural hair stylist and you have some situations that you want, let me ask Kilolo and Cheryl. We're here for you for that. And we can also lead you to where to get some education and some training. Y'all know I'm a shameless plug, right? In September, y'all better come check us out. Beauty Under One Roof. So we don't talk about it, we just be about it. We ain't new to this, we true to this, all right? So here is our first clip, and this one is about them natural hair bullies. Here we go.
Does anyone else just feel like the natural hair community is not what it used to be? I truly feel like it used to feel like a good safe space for a while, and now it's just become policing one another. Even if you're a natural hair expert, people are still going to be like, absolutely not. If you've been following me for a while, you know all of my content prior has been natural hair care. Now, I'm still going to talk about natural hair care, but just not in the way you think. I tend to focus now more on the mental health relationship with our natural hair and helping people and empowering them to rock their natural hair. For someone who's learning to love their natural hair right now and being told, use oil, don't use oil, use butter, don't use butter, wash your hair in cold water. No, don't wash your hair in cold water. That's only if you have a certain hair porosity type. I know you're sitting there overwhelmed. And it's interesting because for me, when I was starting my natural hair journey, I didn't do all of these crazy techniques. Shampoo, conditioner, a simple leave-in. And right now, I don't even use leave-in. We need to go back to the basics. The basics.
Can I say it? We tried to tell y'all. But how Jim Belushi used to say, you don't know Jim Belushi. And when we go off the live, go on and Google Jim Belushi, and he said this. But no. She said a mouthful. Sure. She talked about their policing. She talked about They're coming back to mental health because they knew that you are mentally. That was a whole mind schmuckery if ever I seen one. And I'm not just saying that because my background is mental health. First and foremost, I'm saying it as a mother. All right. Number two, a descendant. Now, y'all think we be joking out here. Okay. I had to do this. Okay. So here's the plantation that our family, the Wright family, all the way back. This plantation is down in down south near Mississippi, okay, on the outskirts, okay. And this is the Macklin family. This is true. So that's gonna be my number two reason that this stuff was dear to my heart. And then number three, I'm gonna throw in me being a cosmetologist. This is not a joke. People are giving us cold, hard cash money and policing mental health. And then all this misinformation, cold washing and oils. And Cheryl, take it away.
Well, you only have policing in a cult because you have to stay in the lines. You have to color in the lines, right? And you can't let any light in. It has to stay dark. It has to stay the same. And so now when you hear that young lady, she sounds like a person who has defected from a country. And now she had defected from Russia. And she or East Germany. Now she on the west side. You know, it sounds like you have let and escaped, or you have put yourself in AWOL status and left the cult. But when you have cult-like behavior, being isolated, and now you personally don't do these things, but the collective still does the co-washing, still does this and does that. She doesn't even use leave-in anymore. And the funny thing is about she actually believed. So it's a belief system. She actually believed that she had to.
Because what the cult leaders do, you have to think of the most popular cults, which are like Jim Jones and the Christianers, you know. So you think of those heavy cults. They go after a certain people, and they go for the jugular, because Cheryl talks about the bloodsuckers, the vampires, or whatever. They went after the chemical people. I mean, they said, who's an easy target? You know, like a predator. Well, who's an easy target? Children are an easy target with the puppy. You know, the woman on the street that's on drugs and she's strung out. I mean, the whispers tried to tell us, you know, Olivia got lost along the way to grandmother's house. You know, they tried to, you know, even sing a song to us to let us know that these predators were out here. So that natural hair, they preyed on those people who were totally in the dark and misled and miseducated and bad experienced and burned or whatever, you know, from the relaxers.
But it makes sense if you follow it, because the natural hair movement was not about hair in 1992, 3, 4. It was about ingredients. And so that dovetailed into the hair somehow, and then it turned into Natural Pride, then it turned into the Big Chop and Natural and My Hair, and then, of course, then reliving the 1970s as if the 1970s never happened, and we're uncovering ourselves, and now our hair is natural, like white people ain't never seen black people's hair. Utterly ridiculous, but it's just reliving, renaming, revising. And then, of course, like I will say it again, natural hair was anti-chemical, not pro-natural.
It was definitely. What's up? My boss is in the chat. What's up, boss? How you doing, boss? I'm working real hard out here, as you can see. Y'all know what y'all got to do. Come on, guys. Let's drop them L's in the chat for my beautiful boss, who's always sending me stuff to help me get this fat off my butt. Any hoot. So we know for a weekend. What's up, weekend? You done snuck in on me. What's up, Weekend? Y'all give a super duper shout out to my homegirl, Weekend, and Sandra
Weekend.
Day. Two lovely young ladies are our virtual co-hosts. We got to somehow meet them in person. You know, we have to meet up.
Right?
We have to meet up and get us a bologna sandwich. We're gonna bring Luana with us. Yeah. So the anti-chemical movement within the natural hair movement really had people. The first thing people still say this when they walk in the hair salon. The first thing they will say,
what?
You know, two things synonymous. I haven't relaxed or I haven't used heat on my hair since, and then they take it away. And some people just authentically, they just don't want it, whether natural movement or not. That's a choice. We get that. And then you have some people who truly believe. And this is why we are going to take this opportunity to do a shameless plug and invite the entire chat to join us on Zoom Sunday. That says June. Good Lord, it should say July. I'm going to get it together. July 6th from 2 to 4. Y'all know that's how you know you old. Zoom lecture is called Plantation Beauty, the birthplace of beauty culture in North America. Now, I lectured on Cheryl's research to a nice full room of about 20 women and men. Phenomenal. It was even me just presenting it. When I read it, I was like, good Lord, and 8 nickels. And the way Cheryl takes us on this timeline, and then I'm just going to do something like this, like release, the biggest economic juggernaut in North America, and then, of course, out into the world. And so it's just very liberating. And so, again, when we see how they preyed on these people, they just took these people money and offered them really no help, no solutions, no realities of what happens, with that hair, as you quote unquote, which is the craziest thing. Here we go again. Go natural. Just sad situation.
I believe that we are at the same ignorant education knowledge drought as a Trump supporter. I think that we're there to the point where we are casting behaviors, we are casting votes, we are putting our lives on the line, we are basing our decisions on information that we do not know if it's real or not, false or true. And by the time we get to making and we have repercussions and consequences of the choices, find ourselves at odds with the industry that could help you solve it, which is cosmetology.
Right.
And cosmetology, all things that you experience today all started in that industry in the first place.
Why do people grapple with that? Because I was watching I think I can't think of who it was, but it was on Instagram. I'm gonna see if I can invite these people on there. I do ask them, like, we reached out to the African hair god. He did not respond, but he responded, but he didn't set up a date. So we'll try it again. But we are reaching out to these people, by the way. Hey, Esther, in case you're watching us, post a live. She's our de facto producer. You can follow her on Instagram and right here on YouTube. Okay. Esther T. Jones, that is. And they were saying that cosmetology don't teach about Black hair. And
let's first of all, I'll be the first one, because it's context that we need, not blanket statements. The blanket statement is the danger zone. That's the slippery slope. Okay. Because cosmetology for Black people was and is more expansive than traditional white cosmetology. Okay, because you have to remember, we don't separate cultural hairstyle techniques. We include everything, right? And some may fall because you have to remember, in beauty school, we brought our cultural client, Black clients, and all the people who got braids and weaves, we brought them to the beauty school. We don't have a very closed, because we don't know a lot of people that just get wet sets. We have, if our family members are coming to us and helping us do our hours and everything on the floor, they're getting a lot of services that our white professional student counterparts are not giving their family members. Okay, so ours is a little more expensive, but for the sake of saying, if you want to say cosmetology in the book, you are absolutely correct. I mean, because you'll see footages, of my dad saying and trying to deal with cosmetology as a board in the state of California. You're right. It is limited, but it's out. But culturally, we expanded in the school. So with that being said, when you vilified cosmetology as a whole, once again, you put the we in it, and we did not have any. Make sure that you're talking about two different types of cosmetology. The barbering, however, and what they don't take into consideration in barbering had Afro Hair Science, it had Black skin, it had Black everything. So, but cosmetology is also inclusive of barbering. Barbering is not inclusive of cosmetology, but cosmetology is inclusive of barbering, right? And so, if we would have had, once again, a think tank or someplace to be able to have a broader conversation, they would not fundamentally made that mistake.
Right.
So now they have to backtrack it within the last 10, 15 years, and now in 2025, they're dealing with bills. Now they're just now scratching for it, because now no one knows where all the fragments and the missing pieces are.
Right. And I'm not for fragmenting it. I am for broadening it.
Yeah.
I don't think that Milady should hold the
not.
golden book, if you will. I disagree with that. But it is there. And I will just go, let me just tell y'all the truth. When you go to because a lawyer can say the same thing, right? Law school don't teach you they don't teach you, for surely in social work, that was definitely, man, we ain't get enough of we that little punk ass internship, all these crazy about, we ain't got enough, so
all law schools are not equal.
Yeah. So you would hear the same nurses would have the same argument, like, oh, nothing prepared me for this right here, in school. So again, this is not to minimize and not accept the reality that it needs to be broadened and it needs to be updated. We are saying that. But cosmetology school is like all other schools. It's an introduction, right? And what you bring to it, right? You take what they give you and you delineate and you make applications, because they don't teach you how to do hair in cosmetology schools. They're teaching you the fundamentals of what happens when you put it around a roller or you put heat to it. They don't really, right? Yeah, when they teach color,
they don't give you the talent.
Like they don't teach. No, they don't teach color. They give you the fundamentals. So when you want to go and get more, you'll have the language like level. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Right. You're so like hair, you'll have the language like cuticle, cortex. That is what the school is teaching you. Now, again, it does need to be broadened, but I think it's unfair to get on social media and lie and put the whole thing down. Like Cheryl said, put it in its context. That it's time to broaden it for that much money, that much time. We could shift. There are other ways you could do it. You heard Savannah was saying another option could be that you could go into a salon setting, because some people want to do it in a salon and learn. There are certain states, I think Detroit, you have the option to either go to school or you can apprentice. It takes longer, but you still get theory, So those conversations would be more robust than just saying things like, they don't teach this, that's not what the study of hair, skin, and nails is about. That's what cosmetology is. It's not, making sure you know how to do a cornrow braid and do an updo and, do what's this color technique called? The visor. That's what this technique. They don't, no, that's not going to happen. It's just like in law school. They're not going to teach you real estate law. You're going to have to go and do what? Get more education,
Right,
so that you can be an expert in what? Real estate or entertainment. So it's the same with cosmetology. And I really wish that we would put that complaint in its proper context. And then that way people won't be saying, yeah, because cosmetology, no. It's not the best again. But we got something to work with. And there should be other places and spaces where you can go and get that. So here's the next one. You can't chat with us. So here we are. We're on this podcast, and some people are complaining that the natural hair movement has gotten so rogue that if you try to say something, they'll come after you. Now, we don't do that here. We've been checked 100 times on this platform, and we welcome it. So here you go, sure. You can't chat with us. When the natural hair community says, don't get in the chat with us.
Woman who woke up with a vendetta against Carol's daughter that day, okay? So I was reading her comments and I was taken aback. I was like, my word, is she mad at me personally? Do her and I have beef? I prefer chicken, but she's really going ham on me in this Facebook natural hair group.
ain't nobody got time for that.
And there it is. You can't check them natural hair folk. They are uncheckable, unfadable. There is for some reason.
Once again, there is a cultural privilege to merely being Black, and I have to say.
So you get a pass? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying you get a pass in a natural hair movement if you're Black?
No. What I'm saying is that there is some secret society that if you are Black, and ladies, I'm going to have to say it because the women bully this space. Okay. Black women bully this space. Okay?
How many people agree? How many people on all cylinders, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, how you doing, Twitch, and Instagram? How many people agree that Black women bullies this space? Yeah. Yes or no? Drop it in the chat. Keep on.
Okay. And so when they bully the space, so you can check all the boxes. You have to have some struggles in your hair. You of course don't, if you're over 30, you've tried everything. So you're an expert there. You're an expert here. You're an expert on being Black. You're an expert on being a woman. Then don't have what they call 4C hair. So you're an expert on 4C hair, and you have experienced all this. Okay. And so that is a bully pulpit. Okay.
And don't forget, you definitely can't have straight hair. That was my first experience right here in Cleveland, Ohio. Her name, and I'm gonna say it because this is my truth. Her name was Malika. I forgot her last name, but she owned the name, the moniker, the Natural Hair Show, and I don't think she shaved off all her head, and they invited me to come there and do a presentation, and it was actually on what they don't tell you at the hair salon, And when I came there, I came with my hair straight, and they stopped me at the door, baby.
Okay.
No.
And there you go. And so we cannot be policed because, or not just policed, we cannot be checked. You can't, because, and here again, that kind of is what makes us vulnerable in the first place, because think tanks, every field has think tanks. They have an upper level of specialists and expert that they, there's an hierarchy of people who have had experience, but it doesn't matter. In hair, in Black people's hair, that is dissolved, and you have the privileges, especially if you're Black and female. You're automatically, and then of course you have the luxury of saying I've been doing this over 10 years, or you go 15 years, and then you'll up the ante and say 25. Woo, 25 years, and then you go 30. The issue is that is to shut you up. That is to make you, stop your charge in terms of being able to critique them.
And don't forget, put some respect on it. So when we asked the question at the beginning of Cheryl's comment about, are Black women the bullies in this, it's been 100% over on Instagram. We have the Yon Dawn. She said, absolutely, baby. Absolutely. She agreed. Absolutely agreed. And then, of course, over here, we got Wike and Sandra. And, so they're saying, oh, yeah, this whole bully thing. Trish. Maybe you said, so, yeah. So the bullying is very real. What's up, Yate? How you doing? We got a cue from our virtual host that says, now is a good time. Before y'all say one more thing, Cheryl, because it's getting juicy up in here. Now is the time to do what Cheryl is doing right now. Here you go, guys.
Pump me on, pump me on.
All right, come on and hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget, subscribe. We need 10 more subscribers so that we can reach our goal of 3,000 subscribers. Now, again, we have over 400 views, and we would truly appreciate your support. And
400,000.
400. Oh, I'm sorry. You were 400,000 views, because this is literally America's favorite podcast about Black hair. Such America's favorite that even the military named their Operation Midnight Strike, Hammer. Okay. Also show you that we're doing such a good job, but we have to keep this conversation going as we talk about the negative and toxic aspects of the natural hair movement, starting off with number one, education, and then we worked our way on down into the actual bullying and policing, and then we just wrapped it up with you can't even check them. You can't say anything to them, and I've been warned. I went over to African Hair God's page and I made a comment about the lady said something about the crunchy hair. She called it crunch theory, that when you let this hair dry, and the analogy she used was like it dry rots. If you let that hair just dry, and then when you try to comb it, it just kind of, and I agree that you should not do the hair like that. And man, oh man, that got this channel like 50 more followers, because they came over here to eat my ass up because they didn't want me to say. They were like, why did you say that to African Hair Guy? Why? I was not even saying anything to him or his content. I just agree that when you wet your hair and you let it dry and you don't comb it, you go have some problems. Now, maybe the language that she used wasn't the nicest, but that's real. That's very real. And there are ways around that. So, but in that community, you are not allowed to say anything to those people, because they will come after you like the bees in the beehive. All right.
Yeah, we welcome the dialogue. I mean, we welcome the criticism, because that's how you get healthy information. Yeah.
And that's why on this platform, you are more than welcome to agree, disagree. We can be wrong. We have been wrong. And that's whether we don't lead. And, I kind of liken it to somebody telling me to my face what they don't like about me. When a person can do that, then that means you're good, because you've made them feel so comfortable. They don't have to just blast you. They could just, what they say, ain't not between you and me, Ladosha, but space and opportunity, which it should be. You have the opportunity to tell us, how will we get better if we're saying something wrong or offensive or rude or whatever. You need to speak your piece. You can do that, and there is no love lost. So in that community, you can't necessarily chat with some of them, okay? But on this platform, go for what you know. It's all good in the neighborhood. Here's our last clip about if you wear a weave, like a wig, you know, you put some tracks in there, you know, you got that hat with that ponytail with the locks hanging down. You know what? You're a fake. I don't see no hair on phone. When the natural hair community says you fake if you wear weave.
Even though the girl says she likes it because of convenience, not because she hates herself or hates her blackness. She says she likes it because of convenience. She's a student, and when she wakes up, she doesn't want to have to wrestle with her hair to get ready for her day. She just throws something on and get up out of there. This girl is beating her down, talking about it's not yours, it's not yours. You're wearing something that's not yours, so you're fake because you're wearing something that's not yours. And I'm sitting here the whole time like, wow, you saying she is a fake person because she's wearing hair weave?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
All right. Phew. You're fake. Now, by the way, excuse me, these clips, they come off of YouTube. So by all means, go over and follow author Neil McNeil. So he has a YouTube channel with some pretty cool content. And the other young lady, her name was Kemi J Official. And so these are natural hair enthusiasts right here on YouTube. So please, by all means, go and check those two people out. And so there you have it. So what about this whole thing? Because that's, I think in the beginning that...
A cult?
I don't understand, like, how you telling somebody...
Right.
If you tell somebody if you wear a weave, you ain't real or you fake. But the entire natural hair community, they add artificial hair in the name of a natural hairstyle.
Well, let's go here.
I'm sorry, y'all. Come on, it's Key Lolo coming out. She just can't shut the hell up. I don't understand that. So a weave is fake. No, but braids are natural and twists are natural and locked extensions are natural. But if you wear a weave, just help me. Come on, y'all help us.
No, forget it.
Okay.
We have to deal with what we call the inner critic. Okay, now, the phenomenon, and I'm going to go here. Okay, y'all need to write this down. We'll go here. Okay. When I say bully, I don't necessarily mean that you're a bad person per se. But what I mean is that natural hair care has not only invigorated, rejuvenated, or aggressively has agitated the inner critic, but it also has allowed other Black women to be able to be aggressive, microaggressive within the ranks of Black women. So now not only are we bullies in the space of wanting to be right and jogging for maybe money or opportunities and things of that nature, but when you see the benefit or money benefit, the monetary benefit of being able to criticize someone for a definition that you have not defined yourself, because you don't know where the naturalness is. You have not defined it as an industry. Where is the naturalness that you are talking about? You are able to tell a person that looks like you that they are not real. So you've created this ceiling or this standard. So there is a beauty standard within the natural hair care themselves. Now that you said you've pointed to the white beauty standard, now there is what we call a straight standard. That is supposed to be some semblance and closeness to whiteness. We are teetering on a very dangerous territory here, because we are now creating the same equivalent of microaggressions that we get from white people. So now they've infiltrated into what we have these black natural microaggressions, because that's what you got at the hair show when you were supposed to be on the panel. That is why, as a man, he saw violence. He was trying to cover it up in terms of he was asking the question.
Oh yeah, yeah. When you go
You really-
into the I watched the whole thing. Yeah, I'm sorry, Cheryl. Yeah.
Okay. And so what he was trying to do was kind of downplay it by asking the question, but he knew that that was a new violence that he had never seen before. And so the other question for when we get in the whole room as Black women, regardless of what we do in the world, we are making, $500,000 or $1 million, or we're making, just 20, because hair equals, evens the playing field in all economic brackets, no matter who kind of Black women we are. But we now have to be able to say, if I call you fake, I don't even know where the fake part is. The man was trying to understand, like, a fake human, a fake representation of Black culture. You're not a real sister. Like what naturalness do you think this woman is violating by wearing a wig or an extra hair fitting, or like what? Why did you have to violently attack her and take her Blackness, or define the Blackness for her to the point? What is it about this particular movement that needs people to be a certain way? So now you've become the very thing that you do not want in the hair discrimination issue. Now you are defining what naturalness is, or where it should be. Or I ask you, if you color your hair, take your melanin pigment or melanin pigment out of the hairspray itself. What are you saying? Are you natural at the melanin level, or are you natural at the shape level? Where is the naturalness? And if I'm being fake, like we have gotten so and believe me, I've studied it so long to the point where I can hear it even in the slightest sentence. We have two types of violence. We have the inner dialogue violence, right? It's the inner critic. Because, of course, the inner critic goes to the beauty supply. She walks down the aisle, and there's the inner dialogue. She's having it. I have been in the aisle, and they stand there, and they're having this whole inner conversation. They're having an inner conversation in the car before they even get to the beauty supply, because they're trying to fix something, conquer something, or defeat something, or they're controlling something, manage something. He said it. He said, wrestle. She doesn't have time to wrestle with her. He used that word. Now, why? And he's probably right. She doesn't have time to wrestle with her hair. So why can't she wear the wig? That is what we call natural hair violence.
Wow. You heard it here first. Natural hair violence. Now, I just kind of want to exaggerate this topic a little bit, this last point about the meanness. And I'm just going to try to play a little bit of devil's advocate. We do, the Yon Don said there's so much miseducation in that natural hair community that is just darn right overwhelming. So, in their defense, do you think the meanness is associated with what she's talking about? They're just overwhelmed with the reality that they just don't know. So it's more like a visceral, like somebody step on your toe. You stepped on my toe. And it's like, let me say sorry, So could it be that there, and I'm not trying to justify meanness, guys, but I'm just trying to put it in a context that maybe this meanness is coming from just, I'm just overwhelmed. I was told so much stuff, so I don't really know. I'm just saying that if you know the wigs or whatever point they're making, you know, you're just not natural, or you're, you know, you shouldn't be putting oil or whatever.
Let's cut to the chase. I'm not going to bite my tongue here.
Get ready.
It is a collective natural hair care. Is a collective betrayal. You're betraying us. You're betraying us. And that's exactly what how they feel. They feel that you are not a real Black person, so you're helping water down, and you are making their job so much, their climb so much more harder, because it's a betrayal. And so now they have to work real hard for the culture. You know what I'm saying? And they do not know that they themselves have just now employed and deployed and are now absorbed into the Western white thought. That's how they think about you. You've become them. And that is one of the reasons why we akin things to vampirism, because you're bitten. You're now using the very essence of the same thing to be able to whip your people. And then you have you gaslight them, and then you tell them that they're betraying you. You're betraying the race. And then somehow your straight hair triggers them, and all of your other subsequent choices trigger them. And I know that we could be talking about this in a broad stroke, and this is not to say all.
Of course.
Let's talk about most of my experience with them, even if they know. And that's why I try not to be overwhelming with my experience. I try to listen.
Because they're on the defense. Right. I mean, when you come into the space,
Absolutely.
When you enter the space of anything natural, they
yeah.
What you want. This ain't what you want,
well,
you know. But to your point, now you know what we do on this platform is we got to source it. We got to give you guys some information. If you want a deeper, and I hate to, no pun intended, a more empirical thought processes on what Cheryl said on how deep that imperialism is, that now we see it playing out by women who this is the antithesis of an African woman, that even a Black woman, because even that, you know, here's a book that we keep begging you guys to read, and it is Imperial Leather. Now, admittingly, it ain't for the faint at heart, but when it comes to, you know, the content and the way, you know, and I'm not saying nobody's stupid. I'm just saying it's not like Valley of the Dolls. You know what I'm saying? But it is definitely I tell everybody, if you just read the first paragraph, it will, schmuck your actor up if you are a woman. And when you read a book like this, it will help you do some reflection. Because you don't know what you don't know. You might not realize, oh, is that what I'm doing? Yeah, that's what you're doing. But you need some context of where is this behavior coming from? How did I get this way? Or, you know, a therapist can't help you. Your mama can't tell you nothing because you just get so funky with it. You know, check yourself before you wreck yourself and read this book, Imperial Leather, Race, Gender, and Sexuality by the Colonial Conquest. I promise you, even if you just read it like a page a night or whatever, get you a book club, get y'all some cousins, your girlfriends, and y'all hash this shit out. And you're going to see where a lot of this behavior is coming from. And then you will begin to reflect and begin to operate, from compassion and passion. And that is certainly okay. It's certainly okay. So, or if you come across, maybe you are a recipient, like the young lady over here on Instagram, Miss the Yon Don. She says natural hair isn't popularized or glamorized. We live in a world where wigs and weaves are prominent and favored. And so she's saying it's even on a down twist. So here we go again, you know. Well,
let me ask you guys a question, because when you use the word favor, and when I use the word betrayal, because what we do have experience in this country as first of all, straight hair for Black people is not favored. I want you guys to stop saying that. It was a means of adaptation, to adapt. Okay? It was a means to adapt. And because of how society is built, it is a means of what? Adaptation and convenience. Okay? Now, if you prefer it, that's where, as Black people and as of African descending people, we need to be tolerant of people's choices. It doesn't mean that they are violating you and betraying you as a race of people. That is a socio-political problem. You're always you're comparing it and trying to deal with racism by trying to make Black people Blacker. And that is not going to work. Culture does not teach, and it certainly does not move you from one position to the next economically.
Yeah.
The other point, however, when we and to address Trish the Natural's statement, there should not be many different definitions of natural, because there's only actually one definition.
Yeah.
They belong in, now there's one definition and then they belong in two different contexts, because when we say natural hair, that is a cultural, socio-political term, but there's only one definition, and it comes from its roots are in Latin, but there are many different versions in Swahili or Hausa or Yoruba, or wherever you want to, where you want to go. But it means nature. And I can't change my nature. I don't give a shit what I do cosmetically to it, or its appearance, or optical illusion. But I cannot unnature it. That doesn't make any sense. But what we have done as a people in terms of the natural hair community, natural is akin to what? Chemical usage. That's what we mean by, because we used to call it in cosmetology, because it came from cosmetology, we used to say virgin.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we have to make sure that we are connecting the dots with each other, so we won't be stepping on toes and putting, the pen, taking the air out of people's balloons, and being what we call bad Americans, bad libertarians. We are the greatest friends of liberty. We don't want to discriminate against our own people, trying to get some type of liberation and getting to a place where we have solace. Best medicine, like Kilolo said. Have some compassion for your story and in our collective journey in trying to make our lives easier and better. It's called adapting. And we talked about that in the plantation beauty. But there's only one. It's naturalis. It's Latin. It means to be born, or it just means nature.
Right.
But I know we don't mean that when we say natural hair. We mean chemical free. That's what we mean.
Right. And we should not mean chemical free.
No, there's only one definition.
Yeah, it's only one definition. But the Yon Don over here on Instagram is saying, I hear you, sweetie. She said, I definitely agree. I say favor in the sense of true self-hatred, and many of us not wanting to learn how to love and to do our own hair. And that's what we're here, is to have that compassion so that people can, and they will, and then it's a process. And someday, the other truth of the matter is, in the world of likes and dislikes and favors and unfavors, right? Sometimes a person here just may not be their best feature, like my teeth. I had to put some on these mocha. My toes ain't my best. Don't see, I'm not putting so, and with all practical intents and purposes, but when you start to turn it into something that's just other than just, I just don't like it. Like, I'm not cutting my grass. I could. I say this all the time. You know what I'm saying? But I better not come to my house. I live my little Mexican. But anywho, you got to get this book, Imperial Leather. It will help you to just hear another school of thought. I actually reached out to that author, and she responded back, and she said, "Oh, you reading that crazy book? I love this little crazy book." And sure, I'm going to take this down because sure, you pointed something out about this book that I did not notice, and that was the shoes. And where they were, in this bathhouse and so on and so forth. So the
Very
cover,
rare photo. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the cover is very, 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 very telling.
And she's escorted, and she's being escorted. Now, I want you to understand on how this ties in the difference of division of white women versus black women. Black women, ancient, are always seem older and wiser. She's taking this white woman who's white women are very early in terms of the evolution on the planet. And so they're both in bondage, and she's teaching her, she's coveting her, right? And the whole story of how privilege and whiteness and femininity and being in a male dominated patriarchal kind of it makes you understand how subjugation happens and strange bedfellows in the pain of it all. It's just, and it happens in cosmetology as well. We do have very strange bedfellows, and people who we bond with, trying to make sense of systems that of oppression, compression, restriction, bondage, things that we are trying to make sense of. And so we need think tanks, we need history, we need to be able to talk about them before they get going. And 25 years later, we find natural hair at odds, with each other, to the point where we are now landed here trying to make sense of things. And so we can go back into this really strong industrial foundation, go back and make the laws make sense, the bills make sense, trying to get the judicial community, the magistrates, the judges, and attorneys and lawyers, to get them on the same page, and so they won't be out there looking dumb and talking about shit that they do not understand historically, culturally, and economically. And just the whole cosmetic world and how we function and operate, trying to get the American studies professors on board, trying to get the media journalists on board. So stop telling dumb stories and
right. We are trying. Speaking of getting people on board, here's another great book that I read to help me with my lecture that Cheryl authored called Plantation Beauty. And this one here is called An Intimate Economy. It's not as robust as Imperial Leather because she takes it to a whole nother level. Yes, but she brings this one more home, with how Black people, and Cheryl, we talk about this all the time. And for the natural hair community, it's so important that we look at our hair beyond the context of the aesthetics and the manipulation and the actual economy, and see the broader context. And this is why reading these types of books, they will help you, as Cheryl says, soothe your neurosis, so you're not taking on behaviors and languages and things of that nature, vocabulary that's really not in your wheelhouse. You think it is, but it is not. And so this is a powerful book. This professor is Alexandria Finley. I have already reached out to her. This, you guys, you should know. And perhaps she could come on and talk about this intimate economy. And though it's not all the way about hair, but when you look at the cover of the book, I think that's very telling about this intimate economy. It's just a deep book. So again, 2 books we're going to ask you guys to get.
And is there curly hair, natural curly hair on the there on a European?
No, that's a woman of color. That is. Yeah, that's the
and I wanted you to, right, and I wanted you to say that because of course we wore that before.
Yeah,
how trends happen, we did wear, and the and I won't say the vehemence, the arrogance, and the vehemence within the Y2K movement, as if this did not happen several times within 100 years. Right. But let me just say this on something you said so important. The reason why this book would be very appropriate is because it is in the economy.
Please say it.
It is in the economy that you guys keep finding the preference. Because like she said, well, it's favored. You guys have to understand there's a trick in the economy called a marketplace. And so if you have value when you go to these jobs, it's not the fact that Black people wanted to assimilate in terms of wanting to be white. It's that the marketplace of how you feed your families in terms of economy.
And can I just interject? And let me just add. Now, this lady does not know Cheryl, or Cheryl don't know this lady from a can of paint. But this lady is saying exactly what Cheryl just said. Finley shows how women's work was necessary to the functioning of the slave trade, and thus, go on and on and on and on and on. Okay.
I have not read this book because let me just say this: if I did a little girl named Midori, and her mother brought her to me and thought she had, I want her to save her hair, I want her to feel good about herself, and I want her. Now you have to remember now. Her mother brought her to me, and I specialized after this experience, and I specialized on little girls. Okay. And after I got done and everything, to make a long story short, she wanted it flat ironed out, right? And she had all this hair, gorgeous hair. And so she said, and the mother, Midori, do you feel so good about yourself? And don't you, and I love your hair, so pretty, blah, 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 blah. And Midori corrected her. She says, Mom, I've always loved myself. I don't have that problem. She says, now I feel invincible. And at that moment, I looked at her mom and I told her, do not give her your cautions. Do not give her your problems. She's above that. She said, I am invincible, which means when she goes to school with her hair like that, she now, in terms of her school economy, little boys, little girls, whatever energy, she has some kind of value now because she can compete, because she's got the look. Now, do we not want that to be true? Well, we have to build another society.
Right. A whole nother society.
Yeah.
But it is. And if you want some context to some of the bigger or the nuance, that's a new word, or what's that? The word I can't stand. Intersectionality. She's telling you right here. Finley shows how women's, meaning the enslaved women's work was necessary to the functioning of the slave trade, which was pivotal. It was America's only economic. It was free labor.
Well, it just also make this make sense. The beauty of Black women is at the top of the spectrum. So to even create class, you in the levels underneath it, you had to start at the top, because by the time white men met Black women in the continent, they were of status. So the years of making them fall from grace, fall under the hierarchy, fall from the top, it was critical that you had this complete dismantling. And so you can say what you want to say, but it has to have a place to live so Black women can hear it, Black women can contemplate it, Black women can sit in their bosom. It can sit there for a minute. And so what we're asking you after you receive it, what we want you to do is to begin to have an affection for yourself.
And if you saw how we have 2 books, that's going to give you guys some context, because the behaviors, the language, all of this stuff we're seeing in the chat, this has a history. Okay. Yeah. And you got to be able to understand it and purge it. You got to get it out, but you need to know it through and through. Number 1, on the backs of our ancestors, and 2, what these folks did. And Imperial Leather and the other book, Intimate Economy, it's just going to help you guys with this. And I promise you, you don't have to come back on here and talk about it, but everything I own, if you read just a fraction of those books, an Intimate Economy is available. You can download it if you don't want to, buy the book. And of course, we're going to encourage you to go to your local African-American owned bookstores and ask them to order the book for you. And so you can download the book. I don't know about Imperial Leather because I actually have the book, but we just encourage you guys to do this, because the negative and toxic aspects of the natural hair movement has its only roots are in that the bulk of the people who are really just kind of rogue out there is because they are not educated. And again, we're not trying to, soften and cushion, but on the same token, we don't want to be belittling and condescending, but education is going to be key. And if you really, 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 really want to take it to the next level, I'm going to say again, take your ass to school and cut it out, okay? And you'll have a really, really good time. I love Trish is all in the chat talking about continuing education. Do what you got to do to get yourself some education where you can be tested, vetted, and you're around other people from different parts of the world. You're getting different schools of thoughts and so on and so forth. So we're going to close this out. Again, we're going to be back. This was very robust. Let me give you guys a big round of applause. Would not our virtual co-host, Wike and Sandra, agree that this was definitely an amazing discussion, and you all did a wonderful job? Yeah. Yeah, this was a tough one. And so at the end of the day, you guys did wonderful. If you're watching this after or post live, please feel free to drop your comments in the chat, because like we said, we just don't want to talk about it. We want to be about it. So to the point that we are going to be back next week with Dr. Chris Smith, and she's going to talk about the unsung educators in the Black beauty industry. She's lived long enough. She's seen some things. She knows some things. And this is what education would do for you. And again, I just got to put it up here. If y'all think that Intimate Economy ain't real, this is the plantation. My cousin is still working out this family tree. And by the way, for that plantation, our family was known. I think it's in Tipton, Mississippi. I think that's the name of the location. But our family, we pretty much built all of the houses. We did the streets. We did the hair. They even have some bricks that the owner said the descendant of the slave owner has welcomed us there, did the whole, apology ceremony, all that type of thing. But he didn't give us no money though. We didn't get no reparations.
You're not going to get any.
I'm just saying, we can get a brick though. We can get a brick.
You're not getting any restorative justice.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. But I just want to let you. I wanted to show that to bring home how close. And Cheryl talks about this with her dad and everything. So, and last but not least, please email us at Afro Hair Science. See, I put the right date up there. Cheryl, did you see that? Okay. Email us at afrohairscience@gmail.com. So we would just say, I want the link. It's going to be Sunday, July 2nd, 2 to 4 p.m. And share. Screenshot this. Share it. Do what you need to do. Y'all know what y'all need to do now. Plantation Beauty, the birthplace of beauty culture in North America. This Zoom lecture is for the free. Bring your notebooks and you just sit back and let Cheryl just let it rip. And we would love to see you guys in the chat. I did a really good job, a mini scale, but everybody signed up that arrived. They was like, I want to see that. Okay. I want to hear it. So please email us. It's scrolling across. And again, let's just put up one more time. I'll leave it up after the live, Cheryl. Again, Plantation Beauty, the birthplace of beauty culture in North America. Close us out, Cheryl. Let's get on up out of here so these folks can go get some chicken.
Absolutely. And what I did want to say about the reason why we named it the story and history of Black beauty in North America.
You're right, we came. But anywho, man.
And let me just say this. And one of the restorative justice and reparation things that we could possibly do is to understand the great skill, to understand the plantation, to understand what was going on that particular place. And we're going to talk about that because I want you guys to understand within 70 to 100 years, you became the world's most beautiful people. And you were responsible in beautifying the world's people. And that's an enormous feat coming from a place called a plantation. It is the most incredible. It's almost unimaginable. It is the great Houdini of the greatest escape in terms of making the strongest hair care beauty industry on the planet. And so,
and if you want to see how this unfolded through a family, please join us Thursday. We're going to welcome Mr. Ron Jemison. He's an heir, like Cheryl. She's an heiress. He's an heir to the Franklin Beauty School located. Is that in Houston, Texas, or is it Austin, Texas?
I think it's somewhere. I think it's in Houston, but
okay.
But I want you guys to know you can't allow anyone in natural hair care to be able to tell you Franklin Beauty School is 110 years old. We have to start saying what we don't do, what we haven't done. We've done it. It's happened over. Now, you may not have been there when it happened, but it happened nonetheless. That's where history is supposed to be wisdom and knowledge, so you know what to do.
All right. Okay, there you have it. We appreciate you guys. We love you too, Kafele. Congratulations on your award. Don't forget, check out the King of Lock. He is over on Instagram. Oh, also, Weekay did something wonderful here for Real Roots, which I am a subscriber. I can't find it. Here it is. So please make sure you are subscribed to Real Roots TV YouTube channel. She has been having great guests and amazing discussions on there. I concur. And it's on Sundays at 8 o'clock PM. Okay, so do your thing and let's help support all of these people right here on these channels so we can get some information. And as Trish pointed out, it's not just for the natural hairstylists, but cosmetologists, we got to do it too. All right, so we love you guys just the same. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, WK, and everybody in the chat. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful night. And Cheryl, I love you. A ho, 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 ho. We sound like Don Lemon. And remember Chris Cuomo? Anybody miss Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon?
Oh, my mother. Those was her boys, man.
I miss Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon. But anyhow, so we'll be back on Thursday again with Mr. Ron Jemison. He's the heir over at Franklin Beauty College or Beauty School there, rather. Okay. All right, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night.
You too.
Cheryl, you ready for the chit chat tonight?
I'm ready.
Bam, bam, bam. He or she said, cancel this damn show. They hate it. What? Hold on. Wait a minute.
Make black hair great again.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Now,
We're coming, get our check.
Cheryl Morrow, the one, the only, the hair oracle.
That was Red Dot, and then we also had a cosmetology school instructor in the chat, Miss Denise West, Michelle Allen, Miss Foster. Dang, I missed your hey! It's always nice to see Miss Foster in the chat. Michelle Allen, you know how much we love you too.
What? About a whole lot of peace. Cheryl, you order that in a bag of chips.